Hello Biblionaires, this is Greg, among other things, and here we are with another bookshelf essential. This is a series of videos that was started at David Wiley's channel, and then just literally everyone else started making videos about it, including me, about basically books that are essentials on your library, books that form like are on the bone marrow of your library. Like you would not be able to have a library without them. They are the dorsal spine. They don't have to be your favorite books. They don't have to be the most relevant books to any specific topic. They just have to be books that you keep returning to. And for me, this would be C.P. Cavafy, which is probably the last great poet I discovered. For most of my life, before becoming a reader of like on a more wide sense, I wrote and read poetry inveterately all the time. And I never encountered Cavafy when I was reciting poems in different places, in bars, and just like I would do slam poetry and all of these kind of things. I did not know about the existence of Cavafy. It was when I renounced writing and reading poetry, when I began my own journey away from my hometown and began traveling in a journey that still today, after 10 years, it's probably a decade since I left. Still today, I'm still in that journey, and it was only when I had renounced poetry and I had like began to travel, and I was not expecting to encounter any more interesting poets either, because as a post-teenager I was still very arrogant, as opposed to now. Of course, now I'm like the embodiment of humility, right? So it was in that moment when I was alone in the Canary Islands, about to set to Croatia and later to Dominican Republic, that I encountered Cavafy for the first time. Someone read it in a poetry night in a bar that I used to go to, just like chill after working. And even then I didn't give him much attention, because I was like, no, I've read enough poetry. I'm in a different moment of my life. I'm not gonna go and start reading this poet. And then a couple of years after, I was in Mexico, and I was in a beach library. It was an open beach library, and it was just like you really leave a book and take a book. And there was a book of Cavafy's poems, and inside it there was this poem that is the most known poem by Cavafy, but that to me it just felt like the most. I felt very identified with it. It's the poem Ithaca. You've seen me read this poem in this channel many times. He has many other good poems. He has Candlelight City. There are great poems. Waiting for the Barbarians, the Thermopylae. He has other nicer poems. One to his mother that I really like. He has many wonderful poems, but his best poem, his most known poem, happened to be not only the first poem that I ever encountered from him, but also the first poem that I read after years of a self-imposed prolonged period of not reading poetry and not writing either, for my own personal reasons. And I also happen to be very much in my own journey. This poem has many things that make it special. The first one is it took a long time for him to write, in the sense that, like, I think in his earlier years, he wrote a poem inspired in Dante's Inferno, and also from a poem from Tennyson, and which was a poem about the Odyssey, if I remember well. And then later on in life, he came back to this poem, and he was like, Homer only writes about their return home from Ithaca, to Ithaca, right? He doesn't write about the departure. And this is what this poem is the only poem I'm going to read you, because I don't want this video to become too long. But as I said, I do recommend many of his other poems. I do recommend Thermopylae and Waiting for the Barbarians. I recommend City. I recommend Monotony as well. I think you should take hold of this. This is very simple poetry, even if you're not into poetry. Like, the verses are not complex. I do like his poetry more in Spanish. I did encounter him in Spanish language first. I think I think it sounds better, but specifically, I don't think that is true for the poem Ithaca. I like it more in the English translation, which is ironic. But yeah, I'll read you this poem, and that will be it for today. This is all you'll see me do for the next couple of days, because I'm moving out. This is also why the angle of the camera has changed. My room is a mess, and I don't want you to have to put through that. So let's find Ithaca. Page, I don't know the page number by heart, so just should take a second. Okay, 5, 19, 13. What is 13? After as well, there's As Much As You Can. It's also a really nice poem, by the way. And there we go. So I read this poem, and I hope it speaks to you, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. And when I finish reading the poem, that will be me. That will be it for today. This is the poem Ithaca, and it goes as like this. As you set out on the way to Ithaca, hope that the road is a long one, filled with adventures, filled with discoveries. The Lastrygonians and the Cyclopes, Poseidon in his anger, do not fear them. You won't find such a thing on your way. So long as your thoughts remain lofty, a choice of emotion touches your spirit and your body. The Lastrygonians and the Cyclopes, savage Poseidon, you won't encounter them unless you stow them away inside your soul, unless your soul sets them up before you. Hope that the road is a long one. Many might the summer mornings be when with what pleasure, with what joy, you first put into harbors new to your eyes. Might you stop at Phoenician trading posts, and there acquire the finest wares, mother of pearl and coral, amber and ebony, and heady perfumes of every kind, as many heady perfumes as you can. Many Egyptian cities might you visit, that you might learn and go on learning from their sages. Always in your mind keep Ithaca, to arrive there is your destiny. But do not hurry your trip in any way. Better that it lasts for many years, that you drop anchor at the island an old man, rich with all you've gotten on the way, not expecting Ithaca to make you rich. Ithaca gave you the beautiful journey. Without her, you wouldn't have set upon the road. But now she has nothing left to give you, and if you find her poor, Ithaca didn't deceive you. As wise as you will have become with so much experience, you will understand by then these Ithacas, what they mean. I know it's kind of a cliche to refer to life, which is what he's doing, as a journey, but it really is. It's a journey of a one-way ticket with no return. And this poem really gives me, I think it captures that better than any other poem I have read. And also it captures the value of the journey as opposed to the destination. I don't think anyone is looking forward to the destination in life, because it's death, despite what many will have us believe. I don't believe in reincarnation, and I don't believe in an afterlife. So it's the journey that we should value. This is the most Dubro advice that I could giving anyone. I think everyone knows this. It's better said in a really cool stand-up that I like from Bill Hicks called Just a Ride. I think that also, there is the two sides of like, this is the only journey and therefore you should take it seriously, and also you shouldn't take it too seriously because it's the only journey, that I like to balance out between. And it's also very important because I wasn't into history or the Greeks he was like in love with Byzantium especially. But for me, like I encountered this before reading any Plato, for example, right? So this probably might have been like one of the very first seeds, one of the very first footprints that I traced to ancient philosophy, which is where I began before studying philosophy at university and everything. So because of that and many other things, this is one of my favorite poems. I have read it on my own poetry Bible, which I don't have around at the moment, but I transcribe and translate my favorite poems into a 100-page notebook in which I'm trying to generate my own personal canon, which I recommend you. I think you should all do. I think it's an amazing thing to do. And If you know Cavafy, let me know. If you like him, let me know. And if there is any specific poem that I haven't mentioned, bring it up. I know that poem for sure because I've read this more than once. But I'd love to reread a poem that I might have overlooked systematically. And that is all. Have a nice day. I'm definitely gonna have a nice day. I've been missing the sun for a while, and I'm leaving this dark, cloudy, wet, rainy, and smoky country very, very soon. So that's all. I'll see you on the other side. Thank you, Booktube.